Not sure why, but
Audio's fine.
Hey everybody, this is Bradley Bender with Semantic Mastery, and today is the SEO Battle Plan Soldier Update webinar, and we've got Marco on with me right now, and I think Hernan's going to be coming on in just a moment. So what's up, Marco?
Before we continue, did you swap out the video on the event page?
Of course,
the link? Because I'm not seeing us live.
Well, we're live.
Oh, there. Okay, we're live now.
We're live. Just remember, there's a little bit of delay. So
yeah. Okay, we're live.
Anyway, so how are you?
I'm good, man. You know.
Good.
Getting by. Back's getting better every day. Thanks, Hernan.
Hey. Just saw the link.
Fashionably late as usual.
Can't beat the weather. Tell you that.
Yeah.
Ask Ed about the weather, man.
Yeah, how's that going? Good.
Yeah, it was good. We met just yesterday afternoon. We hung out for a while. Had him during Hump Day Hangouts. Then we stayed a little bit longer. Talked about what he's doing, how he can get better. Went over some of the other things that he's doing. Now he got this just because he was kind enough to reach out and say, hey, I'm gonna be in Costa Rica. Would you mind hanging out? Of course I don't mind. So we went. I don't know if you could tell. Had a few beers before the Hump Day Hangout. That was cool. And so just because, he came out and reached out, he said, look, I'm going to be in Costa Rica. Let's hang out. We hung out for about 4 hours. Give him some tips since he's a mastermind member. And, he gets, you know what we say, membership has its privileges, right?
That's right.
And so one of those privileges is, I don't call hanging out with me a privilege, but he got to pick my brain.
Yeah.
And, it cost him, I think the flight cost him $300. So you can't beat that, right? Plus he gets to go to the beach now and enjoy all this good weather and warmth. And
that's cool. So one of our members got to go down to Costa Rica and the tropical paradise and hang out with Marco. What a treat. That's awesome. So, all right. Well, listen, guys, we're going to get started because we've got a lot to go through. This is basically just an update for what the PDF is, the battle plan. We're just going to kind of expand on every point throughout the PDF, and plus there's a few additions to it. So this is going to be, fairly good training here, guys. I want to make sure that you're, not distracted. Take some notes, whatever. You'll get the replay because we're going to add it to, I think we're going to add it to the battle plan, like in the actual, like the top of it or whatever, like a link to this webinar. So, and I'm assuming, Hernan, we're going to end up just emailing out once the new battle plan or the PDF's been updated. Is that correct?
Yeah, we can do that. We can do that. We will send you guys an update with or we will put it somewhere like Amazon so that you guys can re-download the updated version with the timestamps and whatnot. So
that's right. Okay, cool. So we got a lot to go through, guys. So we're gonna go ahead and just jump right into it. Let me grab the screen. And there's a few things that we're gonna jump back and forth in between up at the beginning because I want to expand on a couple points. So we're gonna be jumping around a little bit, but that's okay. I think you guys will get a lot of value out of this. So the first thing is, we've had a lot of we've had a lot of really good comments about the battle plan, but then we've had a lot of comments from people that think it's too simple, and so they badmouth it. And to be honest, that's what we wanted, was not to be badmouthed, but to have a simple PDF, a simple battle plan, or a simple blueprint, essentially, on what we do and how, and in the order that we do it. So that's what this update webinar is going to be more about, is about like the timing of these things, of each one of these steps, as well as just expanding on each of them a little bit further. And then again, we're going to add that back into the PDF, and that's intentionally so that, guys, we don't want to overcomplicate this stuff. It doesn't need to be. There's too much overcomplication of SEO in this industry, or marketing stuff, period, in this industry. And it doesn't need to be so complicated. And so, that's really the whole point of this, was to make something concise and it's efficient and it works. It's like a checklist you can run down. And
hey, Bradley, real quick, I don't know if you're sharing your screen. You're sharing the Hangout window right now. So we are on the infinite tunnel of Hangout.
Oh, you are? Okay. My bad. Let me try that again.
No problem.
Let me try it again.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Yeah. Now you guys should be seeing my entire desktop. Is that correct?
Yeah, we are.
Okay. Now, do you see the battle plan?
No, it goes infinite.
No, it goes to the infinite loop of.
Wow. Okay. So you're not seeing my desktop. I must be seeing. All right. Give me one
No,
second.
we're seeing, sorry, the Chrome window.
All right. So while he's figuring that out, my input is that SEO, or most SEO, so-called gurus, experts, whatever the fuck you want to call them, what they do is they try to confuse people. Why do they do that? Because they need you to buy more. They need you to be confused and stay confused. They need you to stay in the dark. That's why I call my webinars we refuse to keep you in the dark production, because we won't do it. We refuse to keep you, your eyes covered so you can't see what it is that's being done. This battle plan is simple. Why?
That's right.
Hernan said it works.
That's right.
We are not here to confuse you. We're here to try to help you make money.
All right.
I mean, that's simple.
That's true, and that's why we want to run through this, guys, and try to just make this as concise as possible as well. But we definitely going to expand on a few of these points here. So the first thing is step one: domain and keyword research. In the opening paragraphs, because Hernan pretty much drafted that, and he did a great job, because he makes a great point about when it comes to selecting a domain. We recommend that you start all projects now with some sort of a branded type of domain. So come up with a brand name for whatever. If you're doing client work and stuff, it's going to be their brand anyways, right? But we don't recommend using exact match domains. It's okay to use a partial match, because a lot of the times there will be a partial match keyword in a domain for the brand name anyways. So for example, a partial match could be like if you're doing a local, like Joe's Plumbing, right? That's a partial match because it's got plumbing in the brand name, in the company name. So that's the brand name, right? And so that makes sense. Also, sometimes there's, again, for using local as an example, I'm going to be using local a lot as examples today, guys, because that's primarily the type of work that I do. But this also applies to, affiliate stuff and national campaigns as well. But also, it's common to see a city name in a company name. So for a brand, so you could also have a partial match because you have a city name in a domain. Does that make sense? But we don't recommend using exact match domains, because exact match domains are they're not really a branding type of domain. Number one. Number two, it can also lower the threshold for SEO over optimization for on-page optimization. It can lower that threshold to trip the over optimization filter because of the exact match keyword being in the domain. So again, we just always recommend that you try to think of a brand name, something catchy, if you're going to be creating a new property for your own business or whatever, and try to use something that's branded, or fully branded, or even a partial match is possible. Okay. So, that's what we recommend. If the site already exists on an EMD, just be sure to keep on-page keywords to a minimum. One of the things that's great about the algorithm having advanced so much, and RankBrain and Hummingbird to an extent, but Google understands so much more about what natural language patterns are, and it understands the meaning of words more, the semantic relationships between words. So you don't need to hammer Google over the head anymore with keywords on a page, guys. Most of you probably know that, but for some of you that are unaware, it's not really necessary. And if you're using an exact match domain, you got to be really careful about the keyword density, because it can trip, and just how you optimize on site anyways, your on-page optimization factors, because you can easily over optimize. All right, so just keep that in mind. So keyword research, guys, by the way, on the event page where you're watching this webinar, there is a link for viewing the presentation slides in the comment section below the video, posted by Semantic Mastery. If you just scroll down, you can click on that and you can check out these slides yourself. We'll make sure that these are also included with the replay. But these links are clickable. That will take you to the various places that we're trying to direct you to, various trainings, videos, things like that. Okay. So this one, keyword research, this is a link that takes you over to a little opt-in funnel that I had set up for a pure training. It's keyword research training that I had put together 2 or 3 years ago now, but it's still valid, guys. It's still the exact same methods that we use for keyword research. The exact same process. Nothing's changed. There are 100,000 different keyword tools out there, and they're all complicated, and they all say that they do the best this and the best that. And to be honest with you, I still use the same keyword research method that I have been for years, because it just flat out works and it's efficient. You don't need all that overcomplicated keyword research tools unless you're doing some really really competitive or some advanced stuff. In my opinion, for most people, they overcomplicate keyword research, and it's completely unnecessary. Okay, so this is there's a tutorial. You have to opt in. It's one of my own personal sites. It's not a Semantic Mastery thing, but basically it's a video series, and I also send out an email every other day, I think, explaining each one of the different tools that I'm talking about in those videos, and they're all free tools. I recommend a paid tool, a couple paid tools that I also use, but we're going to talk about those here in just a moment anyways. All right. So anyways, go opt in and check that out. If you're not already a keyword research ninja, go check that out. You'll probably pick up a couple nuggets. We're going to go through a couple very brief keyword research steps here, guys, but the in-depth training is there. So go opt in for it there. Okay. All right. So pick long tail keywords. Guys, I always start with Google Trends for seed keywords. Again, you click on this link, it'll take you over to Google Trends. And then I'm going to show you an example of a keyword workbook that I always use, the same type of template that I use. Again, it's all about being simple and efficient. I use the same keyword workbook template for every single project that I start, and I put it in the same drive folder as all the other files for that project. So it's always handy. It's always available for me. Okay. And so, I'm going to show you an example here. You guys can also download a copy of this. I'm just going to click on that. There's one in the battle plan as well. That was one that Hernan uses to get more like keyword research data and essentially for determining value of keywords, what the search volume is, the cost per click, all that kind of stuff. And that's great to know for your primary keywords. Whatever your top level primary keywords are, you guys should know that data for those keywords. And it just takes a few minutes to research that and collect that data, and then you can copy it into a spreadsheet. It's good to have that data for your top level keywords, but you don't need to do that for dozens or hundreds of keywords. It's completely unnecessary. The template that I'm about to show you is strictly for generating a list of keywords that you're going to use for content marketing and link building. Okay, that's all that this keyword stuff is for. You don't need search data. You don't need any of that crap, guys. Don't need any of that. I'm telling you, you'll waste so much time doing it if you do it. Trying to research and get your cost per click and your search volume and all that. Don't do all that for these keywords. This method is specifically for just generating a list of keywords for content marketing and backlink building. Okay, so let me show you what this is. Just template here, guys. Again, if you want to download a copy of this, all you have to do is, and these are all in the slides. So if you don't have access to the slides, scroll down on the event page, click the link, and also in the with the replay that gets sent out, we'll make sure that there's access to these slides as well. Okay. Anyways, from here, from the file menu, if you come over here and you can say make a copy, and that'll copy it into your drive folder. Or you can say download as, and download it as a Microsoft Excel file if you're not a big Drive fan. I recommend you use Drive. That said, for trends, guys, all I ever do for trends is I go in and I put my top level keyword in. I set my country targeting. You can go and let's walk through this very quickly. We're not going to spend much time on this, guys, but let me show. Yeah, okay. So I've got this example I was creating an example to show you guys anyways today. So I've already got it open. So go to trends.google.com, and if you want to set your country targeting, obviously I've got it set to United States. You can also drill down to a state level and even to a city level. Typically, you're not going to have as much data when you do that. So I usually start on, especially just for these kind of projects, for just generating keyword lists for content marketing, backlink building. I use trends to just at the United States level or the national level if it's another country. And then I just plug in my seed keywords, guys, or what I think are the top level terms for that industry. And again, you don't even have to know what the top level terms are. You just have to think logically in your head, what would be the keywords that I would start using to search for this product or service online? And then just start plugging those in, because the idea here is by using trends, trends is going to identify a lot of related keywords or related search queries to your seed term. And it's going to uncover a whole bunch of new opportunities that you might have not thought about before. So don't think that you know it all. And like, I already know my top level keywords, I don't need to do this. No, plug them in anyways, because it'll start to uncover additional keywords. And I'm going to show you guys, I found a couple golden opportunities in just researching this for an example today that I'm going to point out here in a few minutes. And I encourage a few of you, some of you are go-getters, action takers. You'll probably go seize on this opportunity as soon as we get off this webinar, and I highly recommend that you do. But anyway, so I started with just HVAC. This is just an example for you guys. So HVAC, again, I use a lot of local examples because that's what I typically do. And so scroll down here and you'll see for under HVAC, this is the broadest of all terms, right? It's very, very, very broad. And so I just use that as a starting point to scroll through here and start to look at the top level terms. So like obviously HVAC is too broad for me. It's not something, this is like if I was going to be starting a project for an HVAC contractor or like a client, or if I was starting my own lead gen project that I was going to sell leads to HVAC contractors for. You guys understand where I'm getting at with this. So this would be for a local HVAC contractor type site or project, whether it was a client or lead gen. So I'll plug that in as my top level term, and I'll use that to start looking and just identifying other subterms that are going to start getting narrower or more directed towards my intent. What is my intent? What am I trying to accomplish, right? So I'm looking for those kind of keywords. So scrolling through here, you'll see HVAC system possibly. Scroll down and you'll see like HVA service. Boom, that's perfect. HVA repair. Okay, that's another good one. Scroll down and just keep looking, and you'll see that all I'm doing now is just getting an idea from my top level term. So from that, I'll come over to my keyword research template, and I'll add in my top level terms from what I take from that very top level one, which I just said was HVAC, right? That was my seed term. Okay, but then from there, I just identified these keywords, right? So, excuse me, I've got too many tabs open. So I just identified HVAC service and HVAC repair, right? So I would just go add those into this right here. I would put HVAC service, and then I would go over here and put, or excuse me, I would make, that would be HVAC because that's the seed term. And I would put HVAC service here and HVAC repair. And the reason why I would do that is because those are the top level terms. And I would just scroll through this list and these are the top level. In other words, these are the search queries that are related, that have historical, that have a history of being related. So related search queries over time based upon the seed keyword. There's also this rising tab, and the rising tab shows any type of search query that's related to the seed term that has had a significant increase in search interest within a specific set of time recently. I don't know what that specific set of time is. I don't know if it's 90 days, 30 days. I don't know, but I know it means in the very recently it's had a significant increase in search interest. Okay, so I always separate those tabs here, guys, so that I keep a list of all the rising terms and all the top terms. And then I scroll through the rising list and I make a note of all the terms that are in the rising list that are relevant. You don't need to copy all of them. Remember, we're trying to keep this simple, guys. So you don't need to copy all of them. All you need to do is copy the ones that are relevant to your project. Right? So this is just giving you some additional ideas. Now, I just started HVAC, which is the top level term, just to get some more narrow terms, but they're still quite broad. So HVAC service, HVAC repair, HVAC contractors would be another good one, right? So as you can see in this example spreadsheet here, if we look at the bottom, there's another tab for trends example. And this is where I went through and basically collected all the keywords from my seed term. So again, row 1 is going to be my seed term. Then I always separate by top and rising. I put only the terms that are relevant to my project in any of the columns. But what I'll do is you'll start to also notice a pattern between sometimes you'll start to identify keywords that are not only top historically related keywords, but they're also top rising keywords, which means that there's a trend there for those as well. And it's good to know that. That's why I'll list those in columns like that. But that's all it takes, guys. It just takes, a few minutes, 20, 30 minutes to go through trends and identify all these terms. And you can see again, as an example there, that those are, quite a lot of good keywords that I just pulled back. And again, it took me about 20 or 30 minutes to do that while I was creating this example for you guys. All right. So let me clear this real quick and then we'll keep moving. Okay. So the other thing, then once you've done that, and here's a couple, the opportunity that I said that I've uncovered or revealed while I was looking at these keywords. There's some, if you look over here, like under heating and cooling, And by the way, you'll also see, I know this is probably looking small on your end, guys. Let me zoom in a little bit. Okay. You'll notice a few things. Okay, number one, the near me keywords, guys. This is like, I just want to really quickly just cover this opportunity because you guys should be paying attention to this stuff is what I'm saying. And that's why I like Trends, because Trends shows me this kind of data. The near me keywords are, they're not just showing up in Rising now, although they're almost the first or the top most rising keyword or search query in almost every single Trends keyword that I've researched, or in Trends, excuse me, for like especially local type stuff, guys. These near me keywords, they're almost always the first in the Rising tab or column or whatever. But the other part of it is you're starting to see them in the top section too, which means now they're starting to be historical data for those as well, which means it's not just a flash in the pan. These near me keywords are here to stay. So pay attention to those, number one. But number two is take a look at some of these. This is what I love about using Trends. And then also I'll show you with PowerSuggest Pro here in a minute how you can also uncover some really golden opportunities. But look at this over here in heating and cooling, guys. Ductless heating and cooling system, that's a very specific long tail keyword, and it's in the Rising section 3 freaking times. You see that? Ductless heating and cooling system, systems, and ductless heating and cooling. And it's also, ductless heating and cooling is also over here in the top section, which means historically there's value there too. The only reason why I'm pointing this out is because in just doing keyword research as an example for this HVAC example that I'm sharing with you guys today, I realized that there is a whole lead gen business right there alone targeting very specifically ductless heating and cooling systems that you could set up a lead gen funnel or whatever and start driving leads to contractors that do HVAC work that provide ductless heating and cooling systems and installations and stuff. You know, and another one, geothermal. That's another one. It's very long tail, very specific, high dollar stuff. And I just was looking at that because it's long tail, guys. I guarantee you that would be a much easier project than trying to target some of these other ones. And again, I just saw it and I was like, wow, there's opportunity there. I guarantee you there's opportunity there. So anyway, that's a little nugget for you guys. But we're going to move on because I didn't want to spend too much time on this, but I think that was really important to cover. So let me go back to the presentation. Okay. So from there, guys, from Google Trends, it just takes a few minutes. Gather your seed terms and your related terms, your top and your rising terms, put them in the spreadsheet. That way you'll have them. It's also good to go back and check from time to time, like maybe once every 6 months or so. Go back through and drill down on your keywords again in Trends, because you'll see, especially oftentimes you'll see different rising terms. You'll see the trends change. And so it's good to stay abreast of them. Every at least one, twice a year, like every 6 months or so. All right. Then once you have your seed terms, guys, you can select the keywords from all of the terms that you pulled from Trends that you want to drill down into even further, like the ones that are most relevant to your project. And then use something like PowerSuggest Pro. That's the tool that I've been using ever since it was introduced to me about 3 years ago. It's my favorite keyword tool ever. I'm not kidding. It's because it's dead simple and it works and it's fast and it's all that I need. And it doesn't have a whole bunch of complicated metrics. It's very, very simple and I love it. It's like $57 one-time fee. If you don't have it, go get it. It's awesome. Okay. So anyways, that said, what I'll do, and here I've got PowerSuggest Pro open right here. What do you know? I'm going to jump over here to grab one of my terms. Excuse me, I'm already here. And let's just pick one. So let's just go with ductless heating and cooling. I'm going to copy that because let's say wow, that's an opportunity that I really want to pursue. So I'm going to put this into my thing here, PowerSuggest Pro. And there's a few different settings you can play with. Suffix will be like if it appends, when you go into Google search and you start to type a keyword and then you type a keyword and then you type space A and then it'll suggest all the suggestions with words beginning with A, and then does B and it'll do the same thing. Well, that's what this adding a suffix does. You can play around with these settings. What I found is, and in recursive means once it's scraped the initial 10 or however many there are, but usually it's 10 per keyword or per search, like out of the suggest scraper, it'll go back and search on those again, the long tails that it pulled out of that first. So a recursive means it goes back and searches and then pulls the suggested phrases for each one of the ones that it pulled originally, if that makes sense. So it's like it's like a two-step. It runs it once, and then it goes back and runs it again on each of the terms that it scraped from the first time, if that makes sense. All right, so you can play around with these settings. What I found is if you have it set to recursive, yes, and then appending A to Z, especially for local stuff, it's going to return a ton of local keywords, like keywords with local modifiers, and that's I guess I can't expand this thing. Yeah, there we go. And those aren't really necessary. So I'll just show you. If I've got set to suffix and recursive, you'll see that it looks like this one might not have as many just city names, but a lot of the keywords that you'll do, especially in the local space, will just end up you see like ductless heating and cooling, Los Angeles. You'll see a lot of city names in there when you do that. So sometimes those aren't all that valuable for just creating keyword lists for content marketing and backlink building. Okay, because again, you're going to have to do a lot of cleaning of those lists, if that makes sense. So in other words, I like to a lot of times just remove stuff like the suffix. And for just this project, just the beginning part, guys, all I'm trying to do is just get the longer tail top level keywords, if that makes sense. So ductless heating and cooling, I'm going to say suffix non-recursive. Yes, I'm going to click search. It's going to be much quicker than if I do adding a suffix. And there we go. We're done. And so from there, I would go ahead and just copy all of those. And there's a couple ways to do this because you're going to find non-relevant. Son of a bitch, I can't get that to expand up. Anyways, you're going to have non-relevant keywords that get pulled back. There's no doubt. So you can use some of the filters in PowerSuggest Pro before you export or copy what's left to get rid of, eliminate a lot of them. I actually didn't use the filters for I just started using filters in PowerSuggest Pro like the last couple months, and I don't know why I never did it before. I used to just always copy whatever the results were into a spreadsheet and then manually go through and delete the rows that of the keywords, containing the keywords that weren't relevant to the project. But you can use the filters here. But otherwise, you could just copy all, and then you just go put your seed keyword at the top, which I think that was ductless heating and cooling. And I would just paste in my list right here. Does that make sense, guys? And then obviously, like I said, it's good to clean the non-relevant ones out of there. But then you're done. You do that for as many of the terms that you uncovered in trends, and from trends that you think are relevant to your project. You don't got to do it for all of them because they're probably not all relevant. I just like to know what's relevant, what would be relevant to my project. And then I'll hand select 5 or 10 of these keywords that I want to target first. And then I'll run them through PowerSuggest Pro, just like I showed you guys, and just paste the results in the columns. Now you've got all the keyword research done that you need to do for the next 6 months to a year. Okay? Does that make sense? So keyword research doesn't have to be difficult. You can go out and buy a bunch of fancy tools if you want. I don't use any of them. The only tools that I use are Trends and PowerSuggest Pro, and I use, when I'm doing something there's a lot of competition, I'll use Rank Spy, which is one of Peter Drew's tools. But that's only, it's slow. It does a lot of analysis, so it takes forever. So I only do that when I'm working on something really competitive. Otherwise, I stick to Trends and PowerSuggest Pro, and then I use Google's Keyword Planner just to get some benchmark ideas about keyword search volume and stuff. But really, that's not even necessary. All right. So, anyways, let's keep moving. That took a lot longer than I wanted, but I thought that would be really valuable. All right. Also, SEMRush is a great tool for identifying competitor keywords. There's a link for SEMRush there as well. Hernan, you want to talk about SEMRush quickly? You use it a lot more than I do.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, basically, I use it, as you were saying, for the money keywords, like the keywords that I'm after, mostly to check competitors. What are the competitors ranking for? What are the first, like the top 10 spots? And also, I can input the competitors to get pretty much their content strategy and what kind of keywords they're using, right, for the content. But yeah, basically I do this for, to have like an overarching idea of the niche, and then I drill down the way you're doing for the content and backlinking keywords, the secondary keywords, and you can input your money keywords in SEMRush or your competitors as well, and see what's going on within their website, what kind of ideas you can get from them. So that's basically what I'm doing with SEMRush.
There you go. Okay, guys. So again, the example keyword workbook, it's on that Google short link there. Take a screenshot if you want, if you don't have access to the slides, and you can just make a copy of that in your own Drive account or download it as an Excel file. Okay. Use these tools to gather all the keywords you'll ever need for your content. That's your main money site content, guys. It's great to use those long tail keywords that are identified by PowerSuggest Pro because a lot of times they're much more complex and longer queries. Those are great to start sprinkling into your content, especially your money site, your page content, which is typically the content that you're trying to rank. The blog content is usually used for content marketing and backlink building, at least the way we teach with the syndication networks. We're not typically trying to rank blog content, not that we can't. We certainly can, but we're not. I mean, that's generally not the primary objective of the blog content. It's usually to help to rank the pages on the site that we're trying to drive traffic to, if that makes sense. So again, using these tools, you can gather all the keywords that you're going to need for both the main money site content as well as your blog content for feeding the syndication network. And then obviously, we certainly recommend for your blogging that you use Content Kingpin or content curation, and we teach it in Content Kingpin how to do it for creating blog content quickly and easily. I've been using curated content since 2010 or 11 when I first got introduced to the concept, and I've never looked back. It's been amazing for me because I actually used to produce the content myself for my initially for my lead gen sites and my and even a few client sites, and it was the only way I could produce content when I wasn't a subject matter expert on any of the like client stuff, you know what I mean? Or even some of the lead gen stuff I was building. I wasn't a subject matter expert. So I had to learn how to create high quality content from other people's content. And that's what curation is all about. It's an efficient and effective way to create content very quickly and easily without having to be a subject matter expert. And you can outsource the entire thing. That's what Content Kingpin is all about. So I highly recommend that you guys check that out if you're not already curating content or have your own system for doing so. Okay. All right. Next, we're moving on to On Site SEO. So obviously we recommend WordPress, guys, and that's just because it's industry standard. It's inexpensive. You know, you can use WordPress for free. If you can install it on your own domain. All you need is a hosting account, whatever. So we recommend using WordPress for, you know, most applications, for most website applications anyways. So we recommend installing and configuring these plugins. Yoast or any SEO plugin. You know, I've been using Yoast. I know Hernandez as well for pretty much ever. I've played around with some of the other SEO plugins, like Ultimate SEO, as well as All-in-One SEO. I've played around with several of those. Yoast has always been my go-to one. There is some bloat in Yoast though, guys. You got to be careful. Also, a lot of the really good theme developers are a lot better now about including SEO function built right into the themes themselves. I just purchased a Genesis framework and theme like earlier this week, and they have some really good SEO settings in there. I know that, and also like what's the theme or what's the one that we use all the time? Thrive themes. They also have some really good settings too. So you can get away without using it, but you know, an SEO plugin, guys. But you know, for simplicity's sake and ease of use, I would say just start off with Yoast, and you can always play around with different stuff as you get more experienced. The Semantic RSS plugin, if you're going to be doing content syndication, we recommend using our RSS plugin because it will help you to diversify and do some different functionality with your attribution link that you can't do with some of the other options. But again, that's up to you because Yoast will give you a similar function without as many options. Okay. Also, W3 Total Cache, that's so that you can speed your website up, guys, for a fast loading website, which is a ranking factor as well as it's good for user experience. Okay, so I think it's critically important to make sure that you optimize your site for speed, for page load speed. That's something that is just kind of standard operating procedures now. You can use Cloudflare for content delivery network or Amazon CloudFront. This link right here will take you to a tutorial that I recorded, I think in 2014, on how to set up Amazon CloudFront and using W3 Total Cache. It's a bit geeky to set up. Cloudflare is a hell of a lot easier to set up if you're nervous or don't want to. It is technical and geeky setting up CloudFront. There's no doubt. And I am not going to update that video from 3 years ago, just so you guys know. If you go through it and something like, I'm just letting you know, as far as I know, people are still watching it and commenting and saying that it's working for them. But I'm not going to go back through and update it because it's a complex process. But it works really, really good. But for simplicity's sake, and that's what this whole battle plan is all about, guys, I recommend using Cloudflare for your CDN. Much faster. Optimize your images in your theme, guys. That's you can optimize your images on your own. cut them down to the right size before uploading them to the page. Don't upload great big images. You can also do things like minification and that kind of stuff. You got to be careful with all that, though. This is way beyond the scope of this webinar. Just go on to YouTube, start doing searches for like how to optimize and how to optimize theme and you know, W3 total cache settings, things like that, and you can teach yourself if that's something you want to do. My recommendation: hire somebody on Upwork to do it for you. I'm not kidding. Instead of learning all this stuff that you don't need to learn, just hire somebody that's an expert at CDN setup for WordPress sites and pay them, guys. You could probably have it done for $50 or less, and you wouldn't have to go through the hours of time that it would take to learn how to do all this stuff yourself. Okay.
Yeah. If I can add something, we usually give shout outs to our mastermind members as well. So Clint Butler, he's also an expert on these kind of things, you know, like secure, not only like making your website load faster, which you would definitely need, and, you know, in terms of mobile traffic and whatever kind of traffic actually, but also in terms of security, right? So if you guys want to, you know, hit him up, he's on Hamday Hangouts all the time. He's also on the Facebook groups, the various Facebook group, and he's really good. He helped me out with some of these stuff. So, you know.
Yep. He is a ninja in that.
Yep.
And so, I mean, you could hire him for that matter. He probably wouldn't be as cheap as some of the people you can find on Upwork, though. I'll tell you that. So just so you know. Okay. So we're going to move on, guys. Use silo structure. If you're building a site, I recommend using silo structure, but don't overcomplicate it. Please don't overcomplicate it, guys. I can't tell you how many times we've had people that, God bless them too, by the way, like they spent hours and hours and hours drawing a diagram for this super complex siloed site for dry cleaning in a city, like for a dry cleaner site in a city. And it's like, what the hell are you doing? Like, I mean, I think it's cool that you're thinking and like getting that critical, you know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, guys, I think and I've done it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say I haven't, because I know earlier in my career, I used to overcomplicate the hell out of silo structure as well. And I've learned over the years it's unnecessary, it's time consuming, and it's frustrating. So don't do it. Okay. Use simple silo structure is recommended for most sites. So if you can, use simple silo structure. If you don't know what the difference between simple silos and complex silos are, there's a playlist right here that explains both of them. It's some training that I did, again, probably 2 years ago now. Works really, really well. So I would recommend that you guys, I mean, it's the same. The concepts are still valid today. There's no difference. I do, once again, recommend that you stick with simple silo structure as much as possible, because complex silo structures are, just like the name implies, complex, and they can get a bit tricky to set up. And so again, you can certainly do it. And in some applications, it makes sense to do so. But for most people, especially if you're starting out, I recommend sticking with simple silo structure. You can always advance to more complex stuff later on. Okay. All right. So next, mark up your site with JSON LD, which is structured data. This is way beyond the scope of here. We're not going to get into this much, but we do have an awesome JSON LD creator inside of SERPspace. Just go to the tools section. It's fabulous. It's the exact same JSON tool that I use to generate the code for all my sites. Okay. It's awesome. Anyways, check that out. All right. So from off or on page SEO, and go through the PDF, guys. The guide has some links to some training about silo, you know, on page, like I know Hernan's got a video in there for on page optimization, that kind of stuff. So go through those as well. All right. So these are just some supplemental stuff that I added today in putting this presentation together. All right, so we're going to run through these guys because the next three are similar in many respects. They're similar. So backlinks for new sites, backlinks for age sites, backlinks for local sites, and then backlinks for videos. Okay, so all four of these are similar at somewhat. So we're going to run through these rather quickly. We're just going to expand on them when needed. And then we're going to jump right into the questions section, question and answer section. So if you guys have questions about anything that we've covered so far, post them on the event page, and we're going to be getting the questions here momentarily. All right. All right. So guys, backlinks for new sites, press releases. All these links here are clickable that go to SERPspace, or you're free to use whatever service you want, but we also provide those services because, again, it's the same services that we use. I've been doing a ton of research and testing with press releases over the last month now. And I've got a lot more planned over the next couple months. I'm doing a lot of stuff with that right now. And I can tell you right now, it's a fantastic strategy using press releases. More training about that should be coming from us at Semantic Mastery at some point in the next couple of months. That's in part why I'm doing so much testing. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to develop a full course out of it because it's working like crazy, actually. So anyways, press releases are very valuable.
Can I add for a second?
Please.
Just something. One of the criticisms that we got when we first put this out was that all of those links go to our services. And I'm like, yeah, we use our services. I mean, we wouldn't send you to something that we don't use. They're not affiliate. Well, some of them are, but it's stuff that we use. And we use our own stuff. We walk the walk. We're not going to go into a webinar. We're not going to go into anything and try to sell you some crap that we haven't even used or tested or know what the hell it does. Whatever's on there, we use it. We developed it for ourselves first and foremost before, I think some of it, before we were even Semantic Mastery. And then afterwards, because it just made our life easier. So you're welcome to use it, or you're welcome to spend the time to go look for an alternative that works just as well, or perhaps even better. I mean, we're not saying this is the best. Well, kinda. We're just saying this is what we use.
Yeah. And sorry, Bradley, but I think Marco brings up a really, really good point. I mean, one of the main mottos of Semantic Mastery, it's still like when we started, and it still is, like it was a mastermind that we being in the trenches, working with clients and with our own products and services, with our own websites, I should say, we were testing a shit ton of different courses, products, services, whatever, you name it, like different vendors for whatever kind of backlinks. And the reality is that we started like curating a list of proven vendors that would bring results. Now, on many cases, many products or services that we actually needed, there weren't even, out there in the market, like syndication networks, for example. We had to create that from scratch. So that's why the whole SERP space thing, like we can only recommend what we use on a daily basis. Sure. And most of many of the products and services that are within SERP space, we had to create them from scratch, following our specific and strict specifications, because we were out there in the trenches. We are out there in the trenches trying to, rank stuff and see what works. And we're always out there. We're not just teaching these. We are working with clients and implementing this on a daily basis. So I think Marco brings up a great point when it comes to us recommending you guys what to do, when to do it, and where to get it from.
That's right. Okay, so press releases, again, guys, highly recommend that for all new sites, it just makes sense. It's natural. It's logical. People, when any sort of news, new business, new business is being, even if it's an existing business, it's a new website, any sort of news whatsoever or announcements that a business or a company would want to make is press release worthy. So again, it's highly recommended that whenever you're launching a new property or starting a new marketing campaign period, one of the first things you do to launch is submit, publish, and distribute a press release. And what's awesome is, we provide the writing services inside of SERPspace as well. And the reason we do that is because the writers know, our writers know what they need for the press release to get picked up and distributed. And so all you got to do is enter the topic, the keywords, and you can enter in as much detail as you want, like quotes that you want to use, that kind of stuff. All that's, the more detail, the better. Because you can have it, but we know, at least we know that our writers are going to have the press releases will be approved and distributed. And so, and they come out good. So again, it's something that I highly recommend that you do for every single site, period. And I've been using a lot of them recently. Again, more stuff on press releases is going to be coming from us in the coming weeks. But it's not something I'm ready to share at the moment, except something briefly, which I'll share with you guys on one of the last slides. Anyways, step 2. Build or order a single tier branded syndication network. You can build it yourself, or you can order it, which is what I recommend doing, because your time is better spent building these marketing systems and not doing the daily grind, the grunt work. Okay, you can hire us to do it, or you can go get networks done somewhere else, which I don't recommend because they usually don't come out as good. And I'm not saying that. I'm saying that because we have a lot of people that tell us that. But anyways, or you can build them yourself. Guys, that's standard operating procedure. When anybody that is familiar with Syndication Academy knows, like, literally that's the foundation that we build everything on. Is we start with the syndication network, a branded network for all new web assets, period. Marco always makes a joke. If his dog sits around still long enough, he gets an IFTTT syndication ring around his neck, because we build syndication rings around absolutely everything, all digital assets, because it works. It validates the entity. It's very, very powerful. And it's the foundation that we build everything else on. It acts as an SEO firewall. So that should actually step one or step two. Both of those are critically important in my opinion. Step 3, once you've had your syndication network built and returned, I recommend that you order a small boosting package of links for the network. Or if you have access to your own link building tools and all that, fine, use them, guys. I'm just saying, for a lot of people, that this is to keep stuff easy and efficient. I'm not going to run my own tools because I have a link building manager that handles all that. It's the same guy that runs all the links inside of SERPspace. Okay, so I would order my network. Once I get the network back, I send it over to get the links built, or I do that all when I place the order, right? Just put that, order that as well. The point is once the network has been returned, one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to have some blog posts queued up and ready to go, ready to be published on the blog that's connected to the syndication network. That's going to prime the network. It's going to get some seed content out there to start seasoning the network, right? And it will also start generating those social signals, backlinks, bookmarks, etc., back to the website. Right? It's starting to just activate the network. And so, that's something that I always have. I always start off with 3 to 5 blog posts that I push out across the network, that I publish to the blog, which gets syndicated to the network during the time that the links are being built to the syndication network. Does that make sense? So I get the network back. As soon as I get the network completed, or I get notification that the network's built, I start publishing the posts. I don't do all 3 in a day. Depends on how aggressive I am with the campaign, how aggressive I need to be with the campaign. But oftentimes I'll do a blog post every other day to start. And I like to start with 3 to 5. But then I get on a regular posting schedule. For news sites, it's typically 2 times a week, at least for the first few weeks or even months, until I get the kind of traction with the site that I want, and then I can reduce it back. But remember, guys, the syndication network, the content marketing strategy that we use, is for SEO purposes and to help the site rank, right? So it's important to keep consistent and post regularly to your network, especially when it's new. You've got to get content out across that network to start theming the network and start to establish a reputation for being a site that, and this is in Google's eyes, but for being a site that produces content, that has some activity, that kind of stuff. Very, very important. All right. So anyways, small boosting package of links to that network. That's when I ordered the links at the same time that I get the network delivered to me, the completed network, because that's when I'll start publishing content while the links are being built to the network. Then build or order an RYS entity stack. Once again, we recommend that you order it instead of building it yourself. But if you want to learn how to do it, right there's the link on how to the training for RYS Academy. If you want to learn how to build them yourself, but you can also order them done for you. And our entity stacks are freaking awesome. They're killer. If you don't know what a drive stack is, just go click on the build link, and you can learn more about what they are. Okay. Anyways, they're super, super powerful. So that's something that, again, standard operating procedure for any new site. And then once that comes back, you order a small boosting package of links for that as well. Or you can do that in the same order process, whatever. My point is, just get it done. It's important because that's going to power up that entity stack. All right, step 6, which is optional, is PBN domains. I've gotten away from doing that as much. I don't do that nearly as much as I used to. I usually wait for the PBN domains after I've done all these other steps that I'm talking about, and it's been a couple of months. If I don't, then I'll start adding PBN domains if I need the additional traction, like the additional push. But again, most of the time I'm able to accomplish what I'm trying to do without PBN domains. Just so you know, I've stopped using PBN domains nearly as much as I used to. Okay. But they're still a valid strategy, guys. You just got to be careful. You got to know how to set them up correctly. All right. But this is way beyond the scope of here. You can purchase PBN domains from inside of SERPspace. High quality domains too, that we've scraped, and then we check them for spam and everything else. So, all right. Post twice a week on your site. We already talked about that. Very, very important, guys. And then start a CT spam campaign, which is a click-through spam campaign. We use crowd search, but there's other tools out there that do that. So it doesn't have to be crowd search. That's just what we've been using. In fact, in the mastermind, our Semantic Mastery Mastermind, we're writing a process. I just set it up over the weekend, this past weekend, a CT spam tool showdown is what I'm calling it. And we're testing 4 different click-through spam tools. And then we're going to be testing that as well. We're going to be testing that once the winner of that spam tool test or showdown has been declared. We've got some other tools we're going to test it against. So the winner against that. So anyways, just so you guys know, if you don't know what a CT spam is what I call click-through spam. Again, you can click on this link. It'll take you over to a webinar that we did. This is the second webinar we did actually about crowd search. But even if you don't want to purchase crowd search, that's fine. Just go through the webinar to understand what click-through spam is, because it's very, very important, or very, very powerful if you know how to manipulate search rankings with click-through spam. Okay. And again, we're working, we've got some news coming down the line for that as well. So that's why we're doing a case study. All right. Okay. Moving on. Age sites, guys, very similar to new sites. Press releases, once again, if you're starting a new marketing campaign, that's a reason for a press release. If there's a sale, that's a reason for a press release. A new product or service added, that's a reason for a press release. A freaking blog post. If you have a nice, what you think is a good blog post, that's a reason for a press release. Does that make sense? Guys, you can think of a million reasons to publish a press release about businesses and companies. And in fact, if you find a good press release writer, which if you're doing a lot of stuff like that, you know, sometimes it makes sense to go out and like hire a press release writer, like not from one of those content farms, guys, they suck, but like somebody from Upwork. Like I have somebody that when I need like very specific type of press releases done, I have a writer that does them for me, and she's awesome. We have the press release writers inside of SearchSpace that, again, you give them the correct information, they're going to write it and it's going to work. But if you're going to be doing a lot of like if you're looking for certain, what I think was good about a good press release writer is that they can find a news angle they can find an angle to always tie a story back to the business. No matter how unrelated it may seem, a good press release writer always will find an angle to do that. And so they can write a press release at any time about anything, if that makes sense. So, it's worth looking into if you're going to be doing a lot of that. But in the meantime, you can just use our service because our writers will get the job done for what you need, if that makes sense. Okay. Step 2, build or order single tier syndication network. If it didn't already exist, chances are if it's an aged site, it will have a number of those properties already, which is fine. You can submit your order with existing properties so that the ones that the ones that aren't present will get built and added. Everything will get connected correctly, or you can do it yourself, right? Once again, link building package to the network. Get that back immediately. Or once you get your network back, remember you gotta post a couple times, guys, to get the network filled with content. Right? Don't just start building links to an empty network. It doesn't make sense. It's unnatural. Don't do that. Wait until you get at least one post on there before the links start coming in, and then continue to publish posts while the links are being built. All right. If it's an aged network, order a medium or large package. In other words, if it's already got a syndication network that's been around, it's got, it's had content being posted to it over and over again for, a period of time, all that, then you can hammer those networks, guys. New networks, be careful with them. Treat them gently. But with older networks, established networks, guys, you can hammer them. Okay? Build or order an RYS entity stack, same as before. That's standard operating procedure. And again, build links to the RYS entity stack. Optional, 10 to 15 PBN domains. For an age site, it can handle more inbound links coming in, provided they're clean and you do it over you don't do it too quickly either, right? But again, I only recommend doing that if it's absolutely necessary. I try to avoid using PBN domains myself, and I only try to use them after all other, all the other avenues that I had available to me were exhausted. If that makes sense. Okay. Post twice a week on your site to activate your network and to keep it going. All right. If it's an established site, they probably should have a content marketing strategy anyways. If they don't, well, that's your job, right? Is to make that happen. All right, and start a CT spam campaign. We use crowd search. Mentioned that already. We're going to move on to local sites. This is my forte. All right. Use the guide for newer age sites accordingly, guys. So all that applied in those first 2 slides about backlinks, that applies to local sites as well. Whether if it's new, follow that strategy. If it's aged, follow that strategy. There's just some slight variations. We keep it simple, guys. Get it? We keep it simple. It doesn't need to be complicated. All right. So order 50 to 100 map powerhouse embeds, and it looks like I missed the link for that, but that's okay. I'll go back and edit it. The 50 to 100 maps powerhouse embeds. If you guys haven't played around with that inside of SERPspace yet, it's very similar to Video Powerhouse. You just need to copy the embed code of your map. So create a Google My Map. This link will take you over to there, and you can create a Google My Map. It's another, basically you can create your own map and add your own pins, and you can add details in and links and all kinds of stuff, guys. This is way beyond the scope of this training today. If you want to learn how to really do it right, then you have to join RYS Academy, or you can go try to figure it out on your own. I'm sure you can find tutorials that would show you how to build a Google My Map the correct way for SEO. And so anyways, check that out. Once you've built that map, you want to go order 50 to 100 map embeds that's for primary embeds. And then you want to order the secondary embeds. Every time I submit anything to SERPspace, I always do primary and secondary embeds. Always. I don't just do primary and that's it. I always do primary and secondary, period. Okay. So just so you know that. Then repeat step 3 with the Google My Map, or excuse me, the Google My Business Map embed. If you guys are unaware of how to do that, I'm going to walk you through that very, very quickly. Let's see, I'm in the wrong tab. There we go. All right, so like if I search for Semantic Mastery, go to Google, search for the business name or the brand name, and if it's got a map, and this is for local sites, guys, so it should have a Google My Business profile, then what you want to do is just click on the map, or you can go straight to Google Maps and search for the business name too. You can do that as well. And then right here where it says share, now we're looking at the Google Maps listing, the Google My Business Maps listing for Semantic Mastery. All right, so what I would do is I would just come here and I would click share, and then I'm going to click on embed map, and I'm going to copy that embed code right there. That's it. That's all you got to do. Don't overcomplicate it. That's all you do. My Maps, something similar. It's a different interface, but it's kind of similar to that. There will be a share button, and you can grab the embed code for that. Okay, so you want to do both, guys. Do both is what I'm trying to say. You can start off with just My Map, or excuse me, just your Google My Business Map, because if that's already established, you already have this. It exists, is what I'm saying. Then and you want to get the jump right away, then do that. And then when you have the time, go back and create the My Maps too. But the My Maps is very important. That's why it was listed. All right. Okay. So again, repeat with the Google My Map embed as well. Then step 5, build or order the RYS entity stack. This is incredibly powerful for local guys. I mean, it's just insane some of the results that I've been able to get with local with just using drive stacks. And then same process as before, order links to your drive stacks. Or your RYS entity stack is the correct name, really. Next, order a batch of citations. And guys, this is the process that we do these in. So once I get through these process down past step 8, I'll walk through very quickly the timeline of these. But it's in quick, rapid succession, right? So the first thing is follow the steps in the newer aged sites. And that same process, guys, it's submit a press release right off the bat, announcing the new service, new product, the new website, the new marketing campaign, whatever. Set out a press release, order a syndication network. Once the network comes back, send it over to get links built while you're publishing content to the network. Once the network, then at that time, you can also order a drive stack at the exact same time. When the drive stack comes back, you don't have to do anything for those. That's all 100% done by us. You don't have to do anything to them, except maybe order links, which is what we recommend. Okay. And then for local sites, you want to, right about the same time that you start posting content to your syndication network, you want to order a citation package because that's going to take some time to build. So you want to order that. And this is all 100% natural looking, guys, for new sites, for age sites too, that are just starting a new marketing campaign, because the way that everything gets built in that timing, it's just natural because it starts to build upon each other, and the velocity starts to pick up. The speed with which things are being built picks up over time. It gradually increases over that, first 30 days. And that's in part why press releases are so important, because you initially get that blast of links that kind of cushion the site from potential damage if you start building links too quickly. Press release links, Google understands its use, but that's why also we mentioned earlier in the slide, that you want to use only brand anchors or naked URLs, because especially for new sites, guys, because you don't want to use any keyword anchors on a press release, because you might end up with 300 keyword anchor links. Okay. So again, citations would be ordered right around the same time that I get my syndication network back. And that's basically, because it takes some time for those to build. Then once I get those back, which are typically going to be within 30 days, I'll get the report back. That's when I'll send those over to link building. Okay. And then immediately once content starts, or the pages are indexed on the site, really the pages, which are usually what I'm trying to rank, then I'll set up a CT spam campaign. However, I'll do that mainly targeting the navigation terms, guys, what we call navigational searches. So brand terms, brand searches. Okay. I don't like to do keyword searches, direct keyword searches, unless it's like mixed in with brand searches. And again, I don't have time to cover all this right now, but this CT spam link right here will take you over to the webinar that where I explain all of this. And I go in great detail as to what I mean by navigational searches and brand searches. That is going to have so much more of an effect on a new site than hammering your new pages, your newly indexed pages with CT spam. That looks totally unnatural. Don't do that. You want to send a very, very, very small number of brand searches and click-throughs to your site. And that starts to increase this, what's called site weight. So authority in Google's eyes. And it's very important. It starts to activate brand signals for the search algorithm, everything. So that's really, really important that you do that, that you follow those kind of guidelines. All right. And then step 8, guys, for local sites. Again, this is something that more training will be coming out about this in the coming weeks. But I'm doing a lot of stuff with press releases and local right now. And I'm seeing some amazing results with using stacking press releases. There's a graphic here that, let's see. No, that's the press release. Let me show you. I just want to show this to you. This is actually a technique that I learned from Chris Munch of Press Cable. And I learned it several years ago and I hadn't really used it a whole lot. I'd used it a few times, but I didn't start using it consistently until recently when I started testing a bunch of press release stuff over the last few, like month or so, 5 weeks. And I got a lot more in store, but stacking press releases, guys, works incredibly well for local. But it's not, you can't just do one stack and expect you to rank. Although I've got some results that I've shared in the mastermind with forcing a Google knowledge panel for a business that didn't have that there were no maps or anything. And now maps shows for all the primary keywords. And this is for a business like one freaking press release. And I got all that shit to happen. No kidding. It's amazing. And so anyways, stacking press releases works really well, but you got to stay consistent. You can't do one stack and expect to see results. You may see results, but don't expect it, is what I'm saying. What you need to do is stack consistently. Consider doing maybe 2 press releases a month for the next 3 to 4 to 5 or 3 to 6 months. And even in really competitive areas, you should start to see some significant results. I've only been testing this method for about 5 weeks now. Like I said, 4 or 5 weeks now. But I've got a couple properties that were lead gen assets of mine that weren't performing well, that I started hammering very aggressively with press releases over the last 4 or 5 weeks. And I'm already seeing significant movement in maps. So again, highly recommend, guys, that you start working on, using press releases. This is something that we will provide more training for in the coming weeks when I have more like hard data to be able to share. Okay. Right now it's just exciting for me. So, all right. We're almost done, and we're going to get to questions. Remember to always be posting your syndication network, guys. You have to do that consistently and repeatedly. Let me be real honest and clear with you guys. For my own lead gen sites, I don't have people posting on the blogs consistently for a lot of them because I got them ranked long ago, and it's just maintaining them. So for my own lead gen properties, guys, where it's an expense for me to have content published regularly on my blogs, I don't post regularly, because it's an expense, and they're still ranked and they're working for me. But guys, any of you that are doing content or client work, that is a revenue center, a profit center, a revenue generator, right? Is content marketing services. So it should be required as any part of your SEO services that you provide to any client work. Content marketing should be part of it, and feeding the blog and feeding the syndication network through that content marketing. And it's something that you should recommend to every one of your clients and get them on a monthly recurring for blog posting for content marketing. Okay. So just to be real clear, I want to be 100% transparent about how I do it. All of my clients are on content marketing services. It's just part of the monthly SEO service. Does that make sense? But a lot of my own sites, I don't do it because I don't need to. It's an expense, and I've already got them ranked, and they stick for the most part. Every now and then, I might have to publish a few posts to give them a bump. All right. Or now I'm using press releases too, because that works really well. All right. So step 8, and I guess I screwed up on that bottom one. Anyways, I meant to probably put that over here under here, but I'll repair that later. Step 8 is to stack press releases consistently. I think that was already listed over here. Yep. So there's a duplicate there. Use the advanced local map search feature in crowd search. If you don't know what that is, again, this is just a link over to this is a backdoor link so that you can actually get crowd search if you don't have it. But there's an advanced local map search feature that will do some, if you're trying to rank in the 3-pack, it will help. Again, you have to do it correctly though, or you can actually cause more damage than do good. So go through the training that I've already linked to. All right. Remember to stay consistent. We mentioned this already. Post regularly to your syndication network. Solicit guys for local. This is super important. This is part of the press release strategy that I've been testing over the last month or so. Is soliciting reviews from customers and reply to those reviews in Google My Business. It's very, very, very important. What I found is that having reviews is absolutely a ranking factor in the 3-pack, at least. I'm again, with what I'm doing for some of my lead gen assets that I've been testing with that weren't performing well, that I've just kind of like left sit for a couple years or whatever. And so they were, maybe 14th position in the maps or whatever. So all I've done was I started getting reviews posted to those Google My Business maps pages, right? So getting Google My Business reviews posted, and then doing the press releases and combined with that. And every time a new a new review gets posted, I do two things. Number one is I immediately jump into that, and I get notified of all of this because I'm a manager of these accounts, all these different GMB accounts, right? And so I get the emails forwarded to my main Gmail account that tell me you've received a new review on your whatever business in Google My Business dashboard. And you can immediately click through and go reply to that. Well, replying to that review is another way, another opportunity for you to work more keywords in to the review itself. And the activity alone is very beneficial. Plus, last part of this is every single time you get a review, besides replying to it and commenting on replying to the review, that's another reason for another press release. Because now you can announce, hey, this company just got another 5-star review. And then that's the actual press release content, is announcing the review and then the content of the review itself, right? And so that's another reason. And then that's another reason to link to the Google My Business profile within the Google My Business listing inside the press release. Guys, same thing. When you go to the link for the review that you put in the press release would be this. Do the same process, go to Google Maps, search for the brand name. Once you pull it up, click on it, and then click the share button. And you can go to the share link. You can use the long URL, but I always use the short URL because it's just much prettier. And I'll copy that URL. And now that's the link that you put into the press release about the review that was just received, right? And you've already replied to it. So I've seen some significant jumps in maps listings in the last few weeks, guys, just by doing this one strategy. Super, super powerful. All right. So anyways, and that's supposed to be for every new review. I don't know why it says 5. I'll clean that up. All right, last part of it, guys, and we're going to answer some questions before we wrap it up. We're going to be out of here in 20 minutes. All right, so backlinks, YouTube videos. Step 1, silo your channel. If you don't know how to silo a channel, go pick up YouTube Silo Academy. It's $7. It's very, very powerful strategy. But anyways, go check that out. Step 2, build or order syndication network for your channel. Guys, with YouTube channels, you can use we always recommend going with the full 2-tier networks because they're much more powerful. And with YouTube channels, you can stack as many networks onto the channel as you want. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, you have to probably go through Syndication Academy to get it, or just come join us on Hump Day Hangouts and ask there, and we'll explain that in further detail. All right. But it works really, really well. Once you've got your syndication networks for your YouTube channel, start uploading videos. Just like you have to treat your networks with blog syndication, you have to prime the networks and you have to stay consistent. I recommend that you do that for video as well. Okay. Then you want to get your primary embeds. Guys, for new videos, and this is Marco and I talk about this a lot, because people often ask, well, if I want to do 500 embeds right out of the gate. Well, you can, but I don't recommend doing that, because there's really a lot of times you don't need to. So I always start every single time I add a video to SERP or to Video Powerhouse, guys. I always do it every freaking time. I always do 50 primary embeds, and then 50 or the 50 secondary embeds as well. And then for the Web 2 embeds, I usually start with just 300 or 300 or 500 on the primary or the Web 2 embeds. And then I'll wait 2 weeks. And I always put everything on a drip schedule, by the way. Like I don't ever do instant. I always do a minimum of 7-day drip, but sometimes a 14-day drip. And then what I'll do is I'll wait, just be patient, and I'll give it some time. I'll set up the CT spam campaign, and then I'll set up, and I mentioned this in step 9. I'm missing a colon there. No, I got it. Anyways, step 9 says start an AdWords for video campaign. If you guys don't know how to do that, I talked about it yesterday in the Hump Day Hangouts. And so there's a link right here where it says results like this that will take you over to the replay of the Hump Day Hangouts webinar from yesterday, right at the point where I go into that. And so we'll give you a high level conceptual overview of what AdWords for video campaigns can do for YouTube SEO. It's crazy, but it works crazy well. Okay. So start off with 50 primary embeds, 50 secondary embeds. You can go 300 to 1,000 Web 2 embeds. It's fine. That's all you need. Give it some time. Give it 7 to 14 days. Check your results. Set up, continue doing the other stuff that we mentioned here. And then come back in 14 days and see where your results are. If you need additional push, then send it out for a second batch of embeds, right? You choose similar but different categories, maybe. Does that make sense? So that you're getting a little bit of diversity and stuff. And then the same thing, once you've set up a CT spam campaign, and if you start using AdWords for video, guys, all you need is $1 a day budget to get some significant movement out of a video in Google search results by using AdWords, especially for local. And again, $1 a day is all you need. And you might only need it for a couple of days or a couple of weeks to get the results that you need. And then you can pause the ad campaign. And a lot of times the video will stick. Okay. So go through all that, guys. If you have something really competitive, PBN domains, I absolutely will use PBN domains for YouTube videos. I don't like to use them for money sites that much anymore, but for YouTube videos, you're damn right I will. But I like to use PBN or SAPE links. SAPE links are also another good alternative, but to just point links at the playlist or the YouTube video itself. But a lot of times the playlist is a good place to do that, because you can distribute the link juice across all the videos within the playlist, which will benefit the entire silo, so to speak. All right. And that's it, guys. That's pretty much it. Last part, as part of the battle plan buyers, if you didn't take us up on the Syndication Academy $1 trial, you have that opportunity now to do that as well. And we certainly encourage you to do so. That's where you'll get a lot more training on these syndication strategies and all that other stuff. I think it's important to know, even if you don't plan on building them yourself, which I don't recommend that you do more than once or twice, but I do recommend that you do it once or twice so that you get an understanding of how all of this works. It will make you have much better understanding of how to sell these as well and what the benefits of them are. And so, again, I do recommend that you do that, even if it's just long enough to learn the concept and build your own 1 or 2 networks yourself. And then, and from that point forward, if you just want to buy them from us, that's fine. It makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You guys want to comment on that before we get to questions?
Yeah, I wanted to add something real quick. Like one of the main points of, I'm gonna put the link on the events page is semanticmastery.com/$1 trial. $1 trial. I'm gonna put that on the event shortly. But one of the main perks, I would say, of Syndication Academy is the Facebook group that we have. You can come here, you can ask questions. We are really open. If you want to really step up your game, you can definitely join the mastermind. But Syndication Academy is one of those places where you can come and ask questions. And we have monthly update webinars with new techniques, new discoveries. So I think there's a lot of value, and you can take it for a ride for just $1. So I'd strongly recommend that you guys do so. For those of you that haven't done so yet, because I see a lot of people from the mastermind here, which is amazing. But for all of you guys that are on the fence on Syndication Academy, go ahead, give it a try. It's only $1. And I think it will really help you out because it can help you rank your websites. But not only that, syndication networks are a business in and of themselves. So have that in mind.
Yep. All right. Well, we got a few questions. Marco, did you want to comment on anything before I take questions?
No, let's move along because I don't want to confuse anyone. I did have an entity comment, but it might just confuse people.
Yeah.
So we'll leave that for another time. Ask me on Hump Day Hangouts if you're really interested. About the battle plan, what I was wanting to say about entities, and I'll clarify. Yeah,
because Marco can get down into the weeds of the algorithm really quickly. So, all right, cool. The URL for the keyword research training is keywordsuggest.co. Keywordsuggest.co. Again, it's just a training I put together a couple of years ago. It's still valid. It's the same. It's just much more in depth, basically what I went through today. Okay, so go check that out. Scott says, I would really like to find out exactly where to place the JSON-LD schema and the PHP files. Scott, I don't recommend that you mess around with PHP files. I totally agree with you about plugins being not the best way to do it either. So there's two things that I would recommend. Number one, first and foremost, I would recommend using Google Tag Manager. Google Tag Manager is fabulous for doing some amazing things. It's a simple, it seems complicated at first, but once you understand it, it's very simple. There's also a training program that I took to learn how to use Tag Manager. This is not an affiliate link. I'm just sending this over because it's free, by the way. So it doesn't matter if it's an affiliate link or not. But Julian is his name from Measure School, measureschool.com. Go check it out. He's got this free course on Learn Google Tag Manager right here. And it's fabulous. It actually is a lot more in depth than what it needs to be for the purposes of like add and JSON LD and stuff like that. If you're doing AdWords and conversion tracking and remarketing and all that other kind of stuff, then there's a lot of training in there for that as well. But if you're just doing JSON LD markup, for example, or structured data markup, then it's very, very simple. So essentially, you put a container on your site, and then which is Google Code, and then you can add or remove code to any page on your site through the container, which is handled through Tag Manager. So you don't have to edit any of your WordPress files or anything. The only thing you need to do is put the code in the WordPress site originally, the container code, which again, that's if you're going to add it to yourself, which you can add it into the header.php file just right before the closing head tag. However,
I put the answer in there on how to get into the header. Okay.
That's one way you can do it. Lastly, I just want to also mention this one. This is one plugin that I would use. This is Sogo. Let's see, add scripts, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, I use SEO Ultimate. It lets me add code.
And this one is if I'm not using Tag Manager, because I have some like older sites that I don't have Tag Manager set up on, and this is what I use. It used to be called OH Add Scripts, but now it's called Sogo Add Scripts to individual pages, header, footer, WordPress plugin. It's a simple, lightweight plugin that will allow you to add code on the specific pages or site-wide if you want, globally if you want. But and again, it's a very lightweight plugin. So, those are my recommendations for that.
And if you don't want to add another plugin to the website, you can just put code on widgets and control where the widget appears.
That's true.
And that will work just as well.
It's true. All right, Earl says, can you please define small, medium, and large link packages? Earl, that just means the number of links, and all of those are defined. The package levels are defined in the order forms. So if you go through, you'll see what it means. So a small package means less links, medium, middle of the road. Large link package means the most links. Columbia says, if you have an aged site that has been inactive, almost no activity, but is 4 or 5 years old or more, how should you proceed? Well, what I would do is first of all, it's okay that, like having by the way, and just as a quick aside, I mentioned this on Hump Day Hangouts or another webinar within the last week. I don't remember which one it was, but we're building a new project. Semantic Mastery is something that we're doing, and I had a bunch of old PBNs that I used to have syndication networks around that I let expire over the last 2 or 3 years because I've allowed my PBNs like basically to fall out of existence as I just don't use them very much anymore. And so I went through all my drive folders and found 92 syndication networks that were sitting dormant. some of them that were built in 2011 and they're still live. I'm not kidding. I've got probably, I'd say probably 20 to 30 networks out of those 92 that were all built pre-2013. And they're still live. I was still able to log into the Google accounts and stuff, guys. It's insane. And so we're actually, I've got a virtual assistant right now, full-time, one of our network builders, full-time, going through and cleaning all the networks up and reconnecting them now. I'm going to have 92 networks connected to a YouTube channel and various triggering options. And I'm super excited about it because I've never had a network that big that was triggered 100% on autopilot. And I'm curious to see how it's already, we're at about 30 networks connected. And I've been testing it over the last couple of days, and it's pretty damn powerful. So I'm really anxious to see once we 3x that, what it's going to do. So
I had one built with 120 syndication networks.
Nice. I've never gone that. I've never needed to. So
we're gonna see what that monster's. Well, I'm taking on one of the big niches, and I want to own it. I don't just want to ranking. I want to own the niche. So
come hard or don't come at all.
Right, that's right. Go big or go home.
That's right. All right. Anyways, so that's it. That was just a quick aside because I'm pretty excited about it. Anyways, Columbia says if you have an age site that has been inactive almost or no activity 4 to 5 years old, how should you proceed? Well, so what I would do with that, Columbia, is I would treat it as if it were a new site, in that I would start adding content and everything slowly. Like I wouldn't just come out of the gate like full on swinging, like everything all at once. I would treat it more like a news site. It should be able to withstand a higher velocity, or like, but I still wouldn't do that, because I would, especially if it's been sitting dormant for so long, to come out with a flood of activity would just be odd. So I would kind of ramp it up slowly and treat it more like a news site. However, that site should react better to the SEO work that you're doing than a brand new site would. Does that make sense? So still treat it like it's a new site, but it should respond much quicker to the SEO work that you're doing than a brand new site would. If that makes sense. That's how I would proceed. Okay. Fitzroy says, if you work in several markets in the county, how do you add more service areas? Well, I'm not sure what you mean. If you work in several markets in the county, how do you add more service areas? I don't really understand the question. Yeah, I mean, I don't really follow the question. If you can clarify that, I'll be happy to answer it. Jesse says, Bradley, 2 questions. When you order a small package for new syndication, do you add on GSA or do you just order Web 2s? It depends. It depends on what I'm doing. It depends on what I think I'm going to need. If I think I'm going to need GSA, I'll add it. But, oftentimes, like I said, guys, I try to always do the least amount of work required to get results. So I often will start off with the least amount, like I mentioned, 50 embeds. That's all I do. And I like to wait because, and so for like the GSA links, I'll be honest, most of the time I don't do that right out of the gate, unless if it's an established site or a project that I've been working on, that's, competitive, things like that, then yes, because it might require it. But for newer stuff and a lot of the local stuff that I do, that's not really required, so I don't. So at least on the initial order, and I'll wait to see what kind of results. And guys, we preach all the time, you have to be patient. You can't expect in 3 weeks you get your link report back and you should see results. It takes time for those results to show, right? And so give it a little bit of time. And so what I'll do is, after a link building package has been returned to me, is I'll wait a good 30 days or so after the package has been delivered before I'll start thinking about ordering more links, if that makes sense. Okay, because a lot of times the results, because of the links plus the other activities that I've been doing, will end up providing the results that I need. So it would have been overkill to order the GSA links as well, if that makes sense. All right. So he says, after doing CT spam and the site is still not at where we are, what should we do? Which steps should we repeat? Well, that's, first of all, content marketing, staying consistent, Jesse. That's really, really important. That's in part what makes everything work so well, is consistent posting over time from your blog. Constantly feeding that network. That's going to, out of all the things that we talk about doing, the one thing that I recommend that you stick with 100% from this point forward until you get ranked is blogging consistently and continuing to feed your network and build your network up. Okay. Which means adding more power to the network. So by link building to the network, you can also add additional properties that might not actually syndicate content to, but you constantly want to be increasing your footprint, guys. I did just say that. You want to constantly be increasing your brand's footprint. So you want to try to get listed on as many different, create accounts on as many different websites as possible. So that includes citations, that includes social bookmarks, everything that you can think of, guys. You want to constantly be increasing your footprint for the brand. All right. So CT spam is the site. By the way, CT spam is not something, if you do it correctly, Jesse, it's not something that you're going to see results from right away, because if you try to force it by adding too many click-throughs, spam click-throughs, you're going to end up flagging your site, or it just won't respond because Google will think this is odd, this is spoofed or faked traffic, right? So you got to be careful about how you set it up and be very conservative and just give it time. Allow it some time, because if you set it very conservative, like a new brand name to like 10 searches per month, no kidding, something like that, 10 searches and click-throughs per month for the brand name, and over the course of 2 or 3 months, that's going to help to establish some important brand signals along with the consistent blogging. Does that make sense? So it's about being consistent and continuing to do the things that are listed in the battle plan. Just go back, order another set of links, right? Order more links to the drive stack if you need to. Were you going to say something, Hernan?
Yeah. A good way is to look in Search Console and see which of the keywords is being shown by Google, and go after those, right? Get some click-throughs to those, because Google is displaying it. Google is giving you that opportunity. So it's an opportunity for you to go and get some clicks in there and start developing a click-through rate. I mean, that's a really good way to take a look and see. You don't just want to do any keyword or the keyword that you want. Do the keywords that Google is showing you in Search Console are being displayed.
And guys, that's a great point, Marco, because listen, if you go to Search Console and you look at the search query report or the search terms or whatever, and then you look at the, you got to check the little boxes to show all the columns. But you want to look at impressions and click-throughs and rank position, that kind of stuff. But like Marco's saying, you'll uncover some longer tail keywords that you're getting impressions for, probably from the blog posts because of your blogging, your content marketing. Those are typically what's going to end up getting impressions a lot of the times. Even if the rank is like page 6, Google, it will still show you in Search Console that you're getting impressions. That means Google is aware that you've got content that matches that query. It's just really poorly optimized or whatever. It's so that it's way back on page 6. But here's the thing. There's more click-through opportunities, more CT spam opportunities. Like Marco just said, you can set up CT spam campaigns where you go search for those terms, go find that blog post URL, and then direct the traffic to go from search to click through to your blog post, and then click the internal link to the page that you're trying to rank anyways. Does that make sense? So you can direct that kind of stuff. It's very, very important. And that's a huge sign. Remember, we didn't cover this, but there's the 3 main factors of ranking right now are in backlinks, are authority, relevancy, and traffic. So if you can start to push some traffic through the internal links from your blog post to your pages, that's huge. That's a huge signal. So, and you can do that by just what Marco just mentioned. Go to Search Console, identify longer tail keywords that are getting impressions. Typically, they're going to be blog posts. They might be pages that are getting impressions for that on your site. Set up some CT spam campaigns very conservatively and start to accrue those over time. It's going to start giving significant traffic signals that are going to help rank your site. I know everybody's impatient. Everybody wants everything like, I want to rank this site in the next 30 days. And it is possible, guys, but I don't recommend it. You should be trying to think about this as a long-term strategy for everything that you do, because otherwise, if you go too fast, too aggressive, and you get your site smacked, that's a bitch, because then you just wasted all that time. Okay. Jane says, guys, loving this webinar, learning a lot in short space of time. Got to go. It's almost midnight here. Okay, cool, Jane. Thanks for coming. Jesse says, Bradley, just for your acknowledgement, I've used 2 full-tier syndication networks with all my YouTube videos. However, what I found is that those videos rank fast, but they don't stick. They just disappear. It's not really Google Dance. I waited several months, but it did not come back. Now I only use 1 syndication network for YouTube. Okay, Jesse. Sorry, that's odd. I don't know why you've been experiencing that. What I found is that single tier or tier 1 only syndication networks will have the opposite effect of what you're saying. So what I'm saying is, like, if I have a channel and I just create 10 single tier tier 1 networks. In other words, all networks are connected directly to the YouTube channel, so that every time a video is published, it syndicates to all 10 networks, right? I found that ranks very, very quickly, but then the videos drop. They don't stick. They start to slip, right? They start to drop in the rankings. What I found, again, mine is exactly the opposite. Whenever I use 2-tier networks where they're you know, I publish, it gets syndicated to tier 1, then the tier 1 blogs trigger this tier 2 networks, so that they're like 2nd tier embeds. Anyways, I found that they don't rank as quickly, but when they do rank, they stick longer. So I've had the exact opposite experience of you, Jesse. It might just be an industry or keyword specific type phenomena, or that varies from keyword to keyword. In other words, that's certainly a possibility. But I've always suggested using 2-tier networks because of that very reason, which is it helps to make them stick longer. Okay. By the way, traffic, guys, you want your videos to stick, send traffic to them. You can do that using spam tools, or you can set up an AdWords for video campaign with $1 a day budget and send traffic, highly relevant, IP relevant, or geographically relevant if you're doing local traffic to a video, which will make it stick. Okay. That's all it takes, $1 a day. You don't even have to run it indefinitely. You can run it for a few weeks and then pause it. And then if your video starts to slip, turn it back on. Works like crazy.
Using Google to rank in Google. I wonder who came up with that.
You're paying Google to send you engagement signals. So it's not spam. You can go buy shitty views that don't do a damn thing and risk your channel getting blacklisted. Or you can go buy shitty spam social signals that don't do anything. Or you can go spend $1 a day on AdWords for video and send traffic from Google that you're buying and saying, hey, Google, send me some engagement signals to help me rank. And Google will gladly do it. Right. So I'm just saying, guys, if you're doing video SEO, you should be doing AdWords for video too. They should be hand in hand. All right. We're at the 5 o'clock mark. We just got a couple more. Thank God. We're going to wrap it up. How do you insert old blog posts in the syndication network once it is built? Thanks. Cool stuff. Voltron. Love that name, by the way. Voltron, Defender of the Universe. It's awesome. Okay. There's a plugin that does that. It's called Republish Old Posts. Funny enough. Republish Old Posts. This one right here. It's a good plugin. There's a free version and there's an upgraded version, a pro version that you can buy that gives you some additional functionality. Like you can set resyndication time intervals to longer. You can set multiple resyndication intervals per post. There's a lot of other stuff that you can do with the pro. I found that it's pretty much unnecessary for most stuff. If you've got like, for example, like a client site or something that you do a lot of heavy content marketing on, you might want to go with a pro version so that you can adjust some of the settings, like fine tune them more. But for probably out of all the sites that I have this installed on, I've only got a couple of sites that I've actually purchased the pro version for. And they're kind of unique cases, but this is a great plugin, guys, for doing that.
Our mastermind members get a plugin, get the pro version of our RSS plugin that does exactly that.
Yep.
They get it with the membership fee.
Yep. Plug Ryan's course for schema. That's a great point. Do we have the link for that? Was that even open? Yeah, that was open for everybody, right? That wasn't just a mastermind thing, was it? The Schema Pro, Ryan's course?
Yeah, but I don't remember if it was a mastermind only, honestly.
I don't think it was. Whatever. We might drop that back on when we send out the replay or something, guys. That's a good point. But Ryan's got a rock and roll course, schema course or whatever. If anybody wants to learn that stuff, that's the man to learn from. He's a what did I call him? A schema savant. So, okay, cool. Brian says, I tested crowd search for 6 months and never ranked a local term, broke the top 10, but I was combining it with content. I might have to try using both as you outlined. Yeah, Brian, I've had really good success with crowd search. I'm not gonna lie. That's why I constantly have been promoting it. We're on the hunt right now for an alternative, though. There's no doubt. Like, I'm looking at different alternative options as well. And that's why we've got a CT spam tool showdown going on right now, which is basically a case study. It's a head-to-head competition for various CT spam tools. And I wanted to do that because I've only used crowd search. This is something I used to do. I used to set those. I used to do CT spam where I would hire microtask workers from places like Mechanical Turk microtask workers, things like microtaskworkers.com, things like that. I would set them up. And there's a technique I learned from Ivan Budimir many years ago, like back in 2010-ish. And it worked like gangbusters. And then when crowd search came out, which I think was in 2014 is when that came out, that automated it. And I was like, hell yeah, because it saved me so much time from having to set up these gigs in the microtask sites. And so, and I used it just like I was taught to use it by Ivan Budimir, which was to go after brand or navigational searches instead of keyword searches. And so I've used it that way, and it works really well. I do use keyword searches for videos, but for websites and citations and things, well, citations I might use keywords too, but for websites, I always try to not use keyword searches. And it's worked really, really well for me the way that I show how to use it. I can't speak for anybody else, and I can't, and I know that probably people that have not seen really good results with it, it's probably because they, in my opinion, were using it incorrectly. However, I mean, like I said, we're looking for some alternatives now. So just so we can have some, you know, plus I just want to see how it compares to the other tools out there. And then we're going to be testing it against some other technology that is going to be available soon too. So we'll talk about that at a later date. All right, we're almost done, guys. Gitano, sorry if I don't say that right. Can you use the same syndication network for customers' YouTube channel and blog? Just set up different IFTTT triggers. We're doing a separate network for both. No, you can use the same. What I recommend that you do though is that if you're going to syndicate the video to the network, and then you're also going to create the blog post, that you don't like that. Keep the content sources unique. In other words, on your blog, like what I've seen a lot of people do is they will use the syndication network for both the YouTube channel and the blog, but they'll publish a video and then it'll syndicate, and then they'll go take that video and just create basically a duplicate post on their website, their blog, for that video. In other words, it's the same title, it'll just be an embed, and then they might have like a little bit of description text or whatever in the body of the post. Well, that ends up looking on the syndication network properties like a duplicate post, very similar, right? Because it's going to have the same title, it's the embed, blah, blah, blah. So I recommend that if you're going to use both, it's perfectly fine to syndicate from both to the same network, but just make sure that your video content and your blog content are unique to each other. You can still embed the YouTube video in the blog posts, but just make sure the blog posts are unique, that they have a more like blogs type title, and they have content, different content than just the video description, that kind of stuff. All right. So but yes, you can do that. Lastly, says, I'd like to have the link to Ryan's course, please. Ivan, can somebody make a note of that, and we'll reach out to Ivan until we've confirmed about Ryan's course?
Yep.
Okay. Ivan, we'll reach out to you, buddy. Let's see if I'm following you. I'll follow you via Semantic Mastery, and that way I can message you via Google Plus once I find out if that's open to anybody else. Okay. All right, guys, we're over, and hopefully you guys got a lot out of that. We really tried. I put a lot of work and time into updating that slideshow today, and I really hope you guys got a lot out of that. That was really what we want to do, is provide a bunch of value for an inexpensive PDF, and to keep it simple. But hopefully you got a lot out of that, and we're glad everybody showed up. And thanks, Marco, and thanks, Hernan, for sticking around.
Thanks, Bradley. Thanks, everyone. And again, if you want to take us up on the Syndication Academy, you can get it for $1. And thanks for purchasing the battle plan. I hope you get a lot out of it. And stay tuned, because we're going to be updating the bonus side as well with a lot of good stuff. So thank you, guys.
Yep. Thanks, Marco. He must be muted. All right, guys. See y'all later. Bye.
Bye.